an interesting topic as I asked myself this question as this shoot-around season goes on, especially my my quest to repeat for a title. Okay? So I asked myself this question: will it be much harder to win 10 straight games this time? I'm talking about this season than it was last season and the season before. Yeah, going back to my last two full seasons, 2025 and 2024, I asked myself the question, will it be much harder, or will it be harder to win 10 straight games in general during this season? Before I answer that question, as you know, in my last two full seasons, 2024 and 2025, I was able excuse me, I was able to record two double-digit winning streaks in 2024. Both happened during the summertime. If I'm not mistaken, I think I won 15 straight from late June to mid-July, right? I had won 15 in a row, and later on that summer, I won 10 straight, right? Just last season, remember when I had an undefeated the month of May? So that, plus that one win in Greeley Park before I lost in my other trip there. That was, I think, 13 straight. And I think I had won, if I'm not mistaken, I think I won 10 straight later on in that season. So I was able to record two double-digit winning streaks in both of the last two seasons. Now this season, I think my highest winning streak right now is 5, which is not bad. I mean, I think I've won about 3 or more in a row in each of these stretches after I lost, right? So with my record right now, which is I gotta review the Glacier Park game because I won a close one, right? So I'm right now. I'm assuming, as I'm projected right now, after I do this review or before I do my official review, because I think I've won. I would be now 23-8, right? Pretty impressive record still, 23-8. So that's without question a much better start for me than it was the last couple of seasons where I started out both times 0-4. Except last season started out worse, where I think at one point I was 1-6, whereas the season before, after going 0-4, I think I went like 4-4 or something like that. And then at most I was, I think I was like at one point under 500, but I had been under 500 for a while until late May when I started to use those makeup games and the the second chance oats. Mind you, I had a lot of those, okay? And I'll admit, I think I gave myself too many beneficial moments to where, because that is the first full season, I was still experimenting. And here, even this season too, I'm experimenting a little bit, right? A little bit more. But for the most part, everything is just, everything else is just set in stone as far as, what my games are like for this season. It's a foregone conclusion. Every single game, target scores at 0. Moving target scores at 0. We both start at 0. And, 6 minutes, 1A, 1B, that's a foregone conclusion. I think that is just the best thing to happen for this season like this. Last season and the season before, I tried different timers. I tried like one for twos, right? 2 for threes, right? Sometimes the 2 for threes may end up being too long, right? So just in case that one of them is an overtime, you know what I'm saying? So, as for this season, right now I think my highest, like I said, is 5. So now I answer the question: will it be much harder to win 10 straight games at all this season? The season we're not really quite in the middle yet. I know we started in late April, off of a 2-month break from me just winning my last title, right? So we're not really in the middle yet, although I already played 30 games. Okay, so here's the thing. To answer this question directly, I think it will be much harder because of these circumstances that are surrounding what my games are and what they will be going forward. What do I mean by that? The new rules are set in place because a lot of these games that I'm playing now, they are progressively going to get harder. So, as I'm continuing to experiment, as far as finding other ways to make my games more challenging. As it turns out, a lot of these, several of these games I have already played since my home debut. I'm starting to realize that there's a lot, some of these games, a lot of them are pretty competitive, and the way that I'm gaining these mid-range advantage. I never had the mid-range advantage in the 2024 season, right? I started experiment that in 2025, and I don't want to go into too many details here, because I was gonna do an annual review of how it is on my 2023, how it is doing my basketball shoot-around system, gaming system now, ever since I started in 2023. So the fact, it's not impossible, but I think it's going to be more challenging now to earn 10 straight wins. And for the most part, I may not need to have any, just like last season, I may not need to have any makeup games or second chance or all this extra other opportunities, beneficial opportunities to help me win games. No, it's not going to be like that anymore. With my record the way it is now, being much better than it was the last couple of seasons, I may not even need those at all. Okay, so that being said, I'm still doing pretty well, but there's gonna be some games where I'm just missing a bunch of threes, and today I think I only made 1 3. Even if this game was just not so difficult, it's part of it can feel difficult to work, consider the weather conditions. I know I'm not trying to make that as much of an excuse, but windy weather can affect some of my shots, for example my 3-point shot. Okay, and also not to mention a lot of these games now, dating back to the last several ones, they some of them already are requiring these attempted shot these shot attempts to where I need to attempt all of them per LM3F round within this many minutes. Now I am going to cut down some of how I'm going to be doing those time limits, as far as you know, needing to make these shot attempts in order for me to avoid these penalties where the target score can go up 10 points on me. So yesterday, Ramona Park, you know, surprisingly enough, I was able to keep track of the score, right? I mean, I was able to get all my points correct even as I reviewed the game yesterday. So yeah, man. And I won for the most part, but I'm saying I think I need to cut down on that. Just kind of simplify, you know, but still make it challenging, right? So to me, yes, it is going to be much harder for me to win 10 straight games. It wasn't like last season where, you know, I just like without me just doing any of the earning of the mid-range advantage and even the short floaters, when the short floaters were, you know, just free of use like during the game, and even like the bank shot attempts were unlimited, is why I won. I've won like 2 straight, or I've had 2 double-digit winning streaks, right? So as I now, like, you know, as I change the rules to make them harder for me, like me earning the, you know, the mid-range advantage and the floater advantage, this ain't it, because I think what's gonna happen, like as the season progresses, like much of these games are gonna be progressively harder, are gonna get progressively harder as the rules continue to change and may become much harder to deal with. So at one point I may have, you know, if I think this is hard now, it's gonna get considerably harder, you know, as the season goes on. Whether it's how I can gain this set. I already have thoughts in my mind. I'll tell you a couple of things. To earn the mid-range and the floater advantage, I'll need to, you know, to earn both, I may make, instead of 1, it may be 2 threes or 4, just like with my Shootaround season final series. And and as far as like for those lifelines, which I started doing recently, I may have like a dice roll for that. So it's like, depending on what the number is, I may end up having the, you know, this particular lifeline instead of that lifeline, like, you know, to my advantage. Or I may do it like what do you call it, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, when you have 4 lifelines and you know, to eliminate the 2 part, I'll do that. I just have to do some kind of dice roll, whatever, to eliminate the 2 that I may not need, you know. So like, this just depends on the situation where I would use both of my timeouts, whether it's 1 or 2, right? So yeah, I mean, I can go on and on. I can explain more about this, but yeah, for the most part, in general, it is going to be much harder to win 10 straight games like I did the last couple of seasons. So right now my record is pretty good at 22-8, but mind you, I'm 2-2 on the road since my home debut. What does that mean? Yeah, that just goes to show how much harder this season has already become. So, you know, although I'm still doing well, especially with my turnaround mid-range shot, that's a big time improvement for this season, which I'm really impressed at. I'm able to get my touches pretty well this time, so even on the chain nets. So yeah, so as the season goes on, we'll see what more rule changes are coming, and I can tell you, man, my title, my quest to win the back-to-back, oh boy, it's going to be way harder than just this past season. All right, so that being said, you let me know what you guys think. I like Eugene's thoughts on this, I like Russ's thoughts on this. So we'll see what's up, man. Peace out, y'all.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.